It's 3:40 in the afternoon. You've been busy since morning, and somehow you feel like you ran a marathon while sitting down. You look back at the day, and it's hard to point to one finished thing. There were messages, tabs, little fixes, and little decisions, and now your mind feels loud and tired at the same time. Here's the part that surprises people. Mental exhaustion often comes from managing friction, not from doing hard work. Most days don't drain you with one big task. They drain you with 1,000 tiny switches. Your mind treats constant thinking as staying on top of life. So you keep going even while your energy leaks out. By the end of the day, you're not just tired. You're scattered. And you're slightly annoyed at yourself because it looks like you didn't do much. So here's a simple reset you can run twice a day. It's not a personality change. It's just stopping the drain before it spreads. Step 1 is name the loop. You pause and say what kind of drain is happening right now. Switching, remembering, choosing, reacting. One word is enough. Step 2 is cut the thread. You pick one task and one next action. You close what doesn't belong to that task. You do a short focused sprint even if you don't feel ready. Step 3 is reset on repeat. You take one real reset after the sprint. Something that turns the mind off for a moment, not something that feeds it. Then you repeat the cycle later, before the day turns to fog. Jordan is a normal person with a normal day. A few meetings, a few errands, a few messages. Nothing dramatic. But around lunch, Jordan starts rereading the same email twice and still doesn't send it. Jordan isn't lazy. Jordan is switched up. Too many background processes are running at once. Picture a phone with 27 apps open in the background. The screen still works, but everything gets slower. And the battery drops faster than it should. That's what happens when thinking becomes the product. You feel active because your mind is moving. But movement isn't the same as progress, and the cost shows up as fatigue. The first mechanism is treating constant thinking as progress. You keep planning, checking, adjusting, and rewriting. You keep the day in your head. And because your mind is busy, it feels like something is happening. A common place this shows up is the inbox loop. You open the inbox, scan, close it, and open it again. Nothing is finished. But it feels responsible, so you keep doing it. The second mechanism is task switching. You start one thing, then a message pulls you away, then you remember something else. Then you chase that. After a few hours, everything feels harder than it should. Switching has a hidden cost. Each time you change tasks, you pay a small restart fee. It's a few seconds of reorienting, but it repeats all day and it adds up. The third mechanism is the invisible to remember list. It's the groceries, the appointment, the reply, the form, the thing you meant to look up. You don't write it down because it feels small, so you carry it. And when you carry it, your mind never fully idles. Even during breaks, a part of you is scanning for what you're forgetting. That scanning feels like tension in the chest or a tightness behind the eyes. The fourth mechanism is choice fatigue. It's not the big decisions that do it. It's the constant micro choices. Do I answer now or later? Do I start the report or clean the kitchen? Do I make that call or wait? Late in the day, you can still choose, but every choice feels heavier. This is why you can feel exhausted while doing not that much. You're not lifting heavy weight. You're holding 1,000 small things with no place to set them down. Now, 3 common mistakes keep this going. They look normal. They even look responsible, but they quietly drain you. The first mistake is starting the day in messages and news. You wake up and your mind goes straight into react mode. Someone else's priorities enter first. Then the whole morning becomes catching up. The second mistake is keeping everything in your head. You tell yourself you'll remember, so your mind keeps checking the list all day. That checking is work, even if nothing gets done. The third mistake is resting in a way that keeps your mind on. Scrolling, checking, skimming. It looks like a break, but it keeps the tab music playing in the background. Jordan does this at 2:15. A task feels slightly annoying, so Jordan checks messages just once. 10 minutes later, Jordan is deeper in other people's problems. Now the original task feels even harder to return to. So here's the same 3-step ritual again. but with a visible action each time. This is meant to take under 5 minutes to start. It's designed for real days. Name the loop is a 10-second pause. You look at what you're doing and you name the drain. Not a story, not a diagnosis. Just a label you can say out loud or in your head. Cut the thread means you stop feeding the loop. One task, one next action. Close extra tabs, put the phone face down. If it helps, write the next action on one line of paper. Reset on repeat means you add a real reset right after the sprint. Not later as a reward. Right after, as a condition of continuing. 2 minutes can be enough if it actually turns the mind down. Now, exactly 3 micro tools make this easier to do in the moment. They're small and specific. You can run them without changing your whole day. The first micro tool is the tab sweep. When you notice you're rereading the same line, you say, "I'm switched up." Then you close everything that isn't part of the next 10 minutes. You leave one screen open and you pick one next action. This isn't about being perfect. It's about stopping the slow bleed of attention. One open tab is a decision you already made. The second micro tool is the stand and sip reset. When you feel annoyed and restless, you don't negotiate with it. You stand up immediately. You drink water, and you take a 2-minute walk, even if it's just to the door and back. The point isn't fitness. The point is changing state. Restlessness often means your mind is overloaded, not that you need more stimulation. The third micro tool is the react mode timer. When you catch yourself checking messages just once, you label it react mode. Then you set a 20-minute timer. Until the timer ends, you return to one task and one next action. The timer works because it makes re-entry automatic. You don't have to decide again. You already decided, and the timer carries it. Jordan tries this on a normal afternoon. At 1 o'clock, Jordan does a tab sweep and writes one next action, send the draft. Jordan does a short sprint. Then a stand and sip reset, 2 minutes, no phone. At 3:30, the react mode timer goes on. Messages get checked once, quickly. Then the timer pulls Jordan back into one task, instead of an hour of drifting. What changes isn't the amount of work. What changes is the amount of switching. The day stops feeling like channel surfing with a remote stuck on the button. There's one more detail that matters. Your energy swings during the day, whether you plan for them or not. If you fight the low points with more tabs and more choices, you spend more energy for less output. A better use of the low point is simpler work. One small task that's easy to start, and one next action you can finish. Then a reset, then the next. This is also why breaks can backfire. If the break is more input, your mind stays on. If the break is a state change, your mind actually unloads. In the next 24 hours, the goal isn't to do everything. The goal is to notice the drain twice and stop feeding it. Once in the late morning, once in the mid-afternoon. Name the loop. Cut the thread. Reset on repeat. If you do nothing else, stop carrying the invisible list. Get it out of your head and onto one visible place. A single sheet of paper works. And when you feel that familiar moment of rereading, tab switching, message checking, don't argue with it. Run one micro tool. Then return to one next action. Mental exhaustion often looks like laziness from the outside. Up close, it looks like constant switching and constant remembering. And it looks like a day spent reacting instead of finishing.